Ladies and gentlemen, hello! Welcome back once again with the Renegade Master, your Dreadlock caster, and RedRipz, right here for another game of CasualCraft. And in this Friday's episode, once again, I've finished work nice and early, and we're here for a TVT game today. Seems to be the crack. And this is a Diamond League versus Diamond League game, so we should expect something pretty cool out of this. It's on Frost LE, I do believe. And up in the top right-hand corner, straight away, today's bro from another Mo. The ever beautiful ViperXk! And in the top left hand corner, today's sister from another mister. This guy's saying GM, even though he was Diamond League on the thing. In fact, they were both Diamond League according to the portraits on the thing, but they reckon they're master. But whatever, it's all good. So up here in the top left hand corner, today's sister from another mister, the blue Terran player. Oh, in NA, I see, right. The blue Terran player here in the top left-hand corner, today's sister from another mister. It's going to be a barcode, or LLLLLLL, or I suppose would work. Either way, we'll do. I'm going to just open a beer because it's Friday. Can't be asked to. Oh, actually, I say I can't be asked. I drank the rest of that whiskey, so I don't have any whiskey at all. I guess I should go and buy some. So straight away out of these players here, we haven't seen that much. This barcoded player hasn't gone for the barracks first, so I'd imagine we're going to see a command centre first, even on the low ground as he's rallying an SCV down there. Meanwhile, on the top right, as I say, Viper's getting out his first barracks, so he's going to be slightly behind the economy in that respect, but he should be able to defend himself slightly earlier than our barcoded player here. He's just going to save up this 400 minerals, and then boom, down comes the command centre straight away. Very good, very good. Now, meanwhile, we've got our Viper player here having a little scout around, doing his thing, seeing if he can find out where barcode is. He's not here, unfortunately, Viper. Who is behind that, going to be getting his orbital command down. He's getting a refinery out, plenty of gas time. So yeah, so it's the end of the week. I am off for the weekend, and I'm actually in a really great mood because I've just booked tickets to go to Sweden to go to DreamHack. So yes, I'll be flying out on the Wednesday before DreamHack, getting to Gothenburg. And somehow, haven't yet worked out how, probably by bus or something, I'm going to be getting through to Jönköping, having a nice few days there in Jönköping, staying in the city centre. Should be pretty fun, and obviously be coming back on the Sunday post DreamHack. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting there, going to match. Well, the first StarCraft tournament I've actually been to. I've not actually managed to attend any British ones because well, it's in the past sort of year I've been into StarCraft really. Well, the past couple of years really I've been into StarCraft. Only the past year that I've taken it really seriously, and basically it's just something I've not really done before. I've not really done gaming events before, so it's something I'm looking forward to starting off now. So we're having the command centre finishing up on the low ground here for our barcode player. He's taking the biggest risk he could there by putting on the low ground, but on such a big map like this, where your opponent's going to struggle to find you, you don't really expect many proxies or anything like that. So really it is quite safe to take this sort of play, especially once he's got his barracks down behind that. He's already getting marines out, and he has a bunker down at the front there that will protect his low ground really nicely. So meanwhile up in the other base, we've seen a reactor out of Viper. He says he's going to start double pumping out marines now, so he's going thick and heavy at the marines. Meanwhile, he's getting a factory directly behind that, and also a command centre to follow up as soon as he's seen his opponent's command centre. He knows it's perfectly safe to move on out. So he's going to be doing that. He'll be flying this down at the low ground. Again, I'd quite like to see them build it further down, really. I'm not sure why these players like building it up here so much. Maybe there's a thing for this that I've not yet seen, but logically, if you're going to be flying it down anyway, it makes sense to, if you're not going to build it on the low ground, build it here or something. Just get it as close as you can so that you're saving yourself some time. Perhaps I'm being harsh, I don't know. Whatever, it's all good. This is a pretty nice play, to be honest. He's getting his stuff together. He's got his factory out already, which is slightly earlier than the barcode players. Factory, who's also now getting a refinery down as well on the low ground there. If we just look at that, he's got two on the high ground, so it looks like we might be seeing quite a lot of mech out today actually, because both players gone straight into the 1-1 aspect of it, and we're seeing a lot of gas out of this barcoded player, so I reckon we could see some mech. We've got a reactor down, so there's going to be Hellions. Yeah, double Hellions coming out, excellent. So that's a really nice little opening here from our barcoded player. You should be able to get in and hopefully do some damage with those. I mean, he's not going to get onto the high ground, but what he might be able to do is just break through here, and well, he'd be able to pick off these marines at the front for a start with some clever micro, although he's never going to get into the main base itself as a result of this wall off here. So perhaps the Hellions may we'll have to wait and see how they go. But with Viper getting out Widow Mines as well now, he's going 1-1-1 pretty much, obviously with the command centre in the middle as well. So yeah, so we're seeing the Vikings coming out straight away out of that. That's going to be going for a little scout around. and I'm just sort of interested to see what both players are doing, really. It looks like Viper might be going into bio. He's building quite a lot of Marines, he's getting the Widow Mines out, and he's gone straight for the starport, which you'd imagine he'd be getting Medivacs out of, to be honest, if he was going to go bio, but he is going straight for the Vikings. So we'll wait and see what happens. We've got 2 Hellions heading out now for Barcody player over here, so he's going to head up on the high ground, see what he can do. Has been hit straight away by a Widow Mine, losing one and almost losing the other one. Yeah, it's not ideal. Really, let's be honest there. We've now got the 3 of them out the front. He has activated this Widow Mine, but he's going to have to do to scan to get these things off. And with another Widow Mine there, oh, that's taking another one out. And yep, those Widow Mines are way too lethal there for our barcoded player, and he's going to be forced to retreat. He's not going to be able to get up this ramp on the high ground now with this many nicely spread out Marines, and also the Widow Mines hanging around as well there. So yeah, he's going to be going for Viper in his main base now. He's getting a tech lab down. I think this is probably for the I guess it's actually just for the barracks, isn't it? So it does look like he will be going to bio. I think he'll be getting Stimpak out of this, since he's just about to get 100 gas now there. We should be expecting Stimpak to start up. No, okay. What are we going to see here instead then? Do we think maybe you might see a factory there or something? Or I'm not really sure what he's going for here. I mean, I guess obviously the starport would be the obvious option. We could see some Banshees, I guess, would be quite nice. We are getting a tech lab out though. So yes, we are going to see a factory on that actually. Yeah. So yeah, so we're seeing an armory out at the back there. So we might be seeing possibly Hellbats or something, I guess. We do have the tech lab there as well, though, on the factory, so maybe some tank play or something. We're seeing another command centre come down here in between the two. Now that he's landed his one on the low ground, he's going to be getting out plenty of SCVs at this bottom base, generally macroing up, doing all that good stuff that he needs to do. Now, we're seeing 5 Hellions coming here at the top. These aren't going to get very far. They're going to torch a couple of Marines, but with a nice spread out here of these Marines, we should see, if we get some target fire as well, we should see plenty of damage. And with the 2 other Hellions here as well, there's really no way that the barcode player is going to be able to push back against Viper here, who's, well, basically they have to pull the hell back. So with that in mind, we'll just take a quick look at our barcode player's base. Now he's getting tanks out and also some Hellions. He's gone 3 factories now, so this player is going heavily into mech. He's getting another command centre out as well, so both players going for their 3rd base, although it looks like Viper might be slightly ahead in that respect. And meanwhile, he's also getting an armory down as well. So I think we're just generally going to see mech out of our barcoded player here. This is all looking very good. 2 tanks coming out there, and double Hellions out of the other one. Meanwhile, the factories, the barracks starport is being left a little bit alone, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. He's going to withdraw his Hellions now, though. He does have 9 of them out now, though, as well as his 3 tanks. So we'll just wait and see what happens. Getting some SCVs transferred up as well for, I guess they're just general transferred SCVs. We've got slightly too many. I suppose there'll come a point where this command centre will move out onto the low ground down here, so he'll be looking to use them there. Meanwhile, we've got Viper utilising as much space as he can out the front, just trying to make sure that he's got his Marines nicely spread, so those Hellions aren't going to do too much damage to them. Because obviously, if they clump up, that's when the thick of the damage comes from the Hellions AOE attacks. Seeing another factory finish up here from Viper as well. So I think it looks like, yeah, with 3 factories down, I think both players are going straight into the mech here, which is it's quite nice to see, to be honest. It's something that you only really see, or certainly it's something that you see less commonly against, say, well, Zerg, for example. No one plays mech against Zerg anymore. So in a TVT game, it's really nice to see this coming out as, well, basically mech is just much less popular typically than the bio composition, but I don't think it's entirely unviable. It looks pretty good, and obviously with these guys playing it, I imagine it's got to be pretty reasonably efficient. I mean, especially with you got this many tanks and this number of Hellions. Wow, they're going to go through so many SCVs if you can get them in there. The problem is the Hellions don't really do that much damage to buildings, so that's going to be the issue there. And also getting them past the Widow Mine is going to be a little bit of a problem, considering how low health they already have, some of them. So that could be a little bit of a problem, but we'll wait and see what happens. Now Viper moving down to his 3rd base here and starting to take that out. Meanwhile, we're seeing the barracks move on in here onto the high ground. That's going to be just doing a little bit of a scout around here for our barcode player, just making sure there's nothing too much. Meanwhile, he's going to be moving down with Blue Flame onto the bottom there. So yeah, I think generally just seeing a lot of mech play out of both players, I think, here, because obviously with you've got the armory to get Blue Flame out. Oh no, sorry, I think the Blue Flame's actually on the tech lab, isn't it? Sorry. Well, either way, so we're getting all these Hellions are going to be killing off these supply depots, generally pushing back against Viper, making sure that he can't do too much there. In regard to getting his 3rd base. Meanwhile, we should be seeing our barcode player take his own 3rd, which he has done a little bit further down actually than I expected. I guess the idea is to build it a little bit further away from your opponent, because this sort of spot down here is quite secluded really. You've got to sort of come all the way up here. If we just zoom out a bit, we can see that you've got to run all the way around here to get to there from your main base, whereas here you just sort of come down the front ramp and you can cover the main and 2nd and 3rd even from here, whereas obviously it basically just, if the opponent then decides to swing around the top way up here, you can then go in there. Now, meanwhile, we've seen a big push through here at the front end, and someone's left a supply depot down here. It's all these Hellions going to be getting through, although actually loads of them were taken out there by some explosions. I'm not sure if there's Widow Mines on that ramp there. Yeah, I'm just going to zoom in slightly again. I didn't see any Widow Mines there. I don't think there were any, but I think it was the siege tanks shooting down on the AoE of the AoE siege tanks, sorry, shooting on top of the Hellions is what killed most of them off. So without that dying now, we're seeing the 5 siege tanks out the front of Viper's base, and he's got a little bit of a difficulty dealing with this, really, because he doesn't really have anything that much left in his base. He's got 2 tanks down and a couple of Hellbats, but other than that, it's basically these siege tanks are pretty free to do what they want. And I'm a little bit surprised he's not pushed in slightly further there, although I suppose he can land the Vikings right on top of the siege tanks, and that's when the problems will start, especially when you've got Widow Mines here dealing extra damage underneath them as well. So it's a little bit of an interesting back and forth stalemate-y sort of situation here. Now, our Barcode player once again is going to be pushing out this orbital command. That's going to have to be pulled back. I don't think that's going to be... Yeah, should get away. It depends. If we can get an SCV over to repair this quickly, then it should be okay. Although with the Vikings dealing extra damage here, it might just fall here, which would be really bad for Viper having to build an extra base like that. Losing that many minerals to a little bit of aggression like this would be a big pain in the arse for him, to be honest. Let's be honest. So yeah, so we've got 7 siege tanks out down the front here now. We've got 3 Hellbats and 3 Hellions as well. And with the Vipers on the high ground with his siege tanks there, that's going to be a little bit difficult for the Barcode player to push up there. It's really, you need to be kind of coming around the side here maybe, or something like that. Although obviously Viper can just push out onto this as well and make sure the Widow Mine's there to protect him. So we'll wait and see what the players are going to be up to. Meanwhile, our Barcode player is taking a 4th base down the bottom. This is quite a nice idea, actually. I'm not even sure actually if Viper's aware of the 3rd yet. No, he's not seen the 3rd yet, so he's going to have a little bit of a difficulty there if that's the case. Meanwhile, we're seeing this little bit of a push out now. He's going to be taking down these siege tanks, making sure that they can't cause too much further damage to the base that he's been trying to get. Although moving into this side, this is a little bit dangerous there, to be honest. He's lost quite a large amount of his force against these 3 siege tanks. And with, I mean, they will be falling eventually, but the losses that Viper took in response there aren't ideal, really, considering he's not really that far ahead, considering he's got 2 bases now, and, well, our Barcode player is mining from 3 and is building a 4th. His Barcode player is looking at a much better position than Viper is at this moment. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I guess with some heavy meching, if he can get his just get his supply chain finished up. He needs to get more SCVs down really as well, because we're not seeing any of these extractors or anything being fully utilised. We're seeing not even a full saturation on the second base. And obviously, he lost a lot of SCVs in that little engagement earlier. But with that in mind, he's going to need to see much more in the way of pushing out here from Viper. If he's basically either got to do damage or macro up. It's one or the other right now for him. So it looks like he's going to be moving out to do some damage. I think he'll probably try and push out this this orbital command behind that to take this 3rd base. But we'll have to wait and see what happens here. Viper is going to come round on this high ground here, and I think he probably thought that there was going to be a base there, and there actually isn't. But he's bothered to drop the Hellbats now, so we'll have a little look around. I think he's going to get spotted here by the sensor tower. Not quite. He's just sort of staying on the edge. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's little bits of vision there from for our Barcode player, and he's going to be gathering his army together at the front there. We're going to have a little bit of a difficulty really to deal with that. I think Viper's going to maybe now find this bottom base here if he just keeps moving around the bottom of the map, just making sure there's nothing too much, because there's actually a way up through here. So to be honest, if he liked, he could probably try and push through that way. Although with an orbital command coming down on this 4th base of our Barcode player here, it's going to be a little bit of bother there for Viper to push in too easily, and he's actually going to retreat with that in mind. So he's going to just pull back his troops to his base, try and make sure he can secure this 3rd base and get his economy well on the way. And since he's a good sort of 60 supply behind now, he really does need to make sure he's doing stuff like this, because without getting this extra base down, he's going to really start falling behind in terms of the number of units he can get out. And it'll basically be a case of the Barcode player being able to just trade, whereas Viper won't be able to, because he'll run out of economy. And we're seeing a huge engagement here now. He's got so many Hellbats taking on so many Hellbats, but with the 3 siege tanks of Viper, it looks like he might get a bit of advantage in that respect. Although actually with the Barcode player just pushing through the initial Hellbats there, it's looking like all these siege tanks are going to be cleared up here now. And with the Vikings landing on the other side there, I think we're going to see these siege tanks cleared up as well. And I'm not sure. I think probably the Vikings could have taken out a couple more of those Hellbats there. Really, it's would have been quite nice. Although to be honest, you would have probably lost the Vikings for the bother of it. So it's maybe not worth it. I'm not sure. We're seeing some more stuff coming out of Viper here now. He's looking very good. And we've also got another base out of our Barcoded player here now. So he's looking to take a 5th, which frankly will just put him so far ahead in the game that it's just going to be so difficult here for Viper to come back into this now. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like we've got the main base mined out, but how many SCVs does this Barcoded player have? 84 now. Wow. So we're 84 SCVs with a lot of mule support as well. This barcode player's economy is absolutely crazy, and the fact that he's managed to only just pull up 1,000 resources really is pretty amazing, really, because he's managed to churn through it all so quickly. He's obviously his production's doing really well, and it looks like Viper's force once again will be getting taken out here. This little sort is not really enough, and just attacking into those sort of tanks like that just isn't really that good, because obviously the sieged up tanks get the advantage because they get a few shots off first before you can get your own tanks sieged up. So it looks like Viper might just sit here and try and hold this middle ground here. If he can hold the middle of the map, he should be in a much better position. What he needs to do though is be careful he doesn't get caught out at that and lose his army. So he needs to make sure that he's well on top of what our barcoded player is doing, and make sure he doesn't get caught out by a larger force or anything. So with that, it looks like he's just going to be generally just macroing up in this third. He's taken a fourth up the top now as well. Continuing the macro here, we've got he's still a huge SCV advantage by a good 40 SCVs for the barcoded player, so it really is very much in his hands at the moment. It's his game to lose, I feel, at the moment, because well, basically he's just so far ahead in terms of economy, because he can just keep churning out tanks all day, whereas Viper's going to be struggling for the time being. So any bonuses that Viper can take here will be really, really nice. And actually, I really like this play from Viper there. Actually, that was nice. He managed to get enough troops out to just push through that initial line of tanks, and actually now it looks like he might be able to push this back a little bit. If he can just keep getting the high ground, keep getting the vision here on these tanks, then the tanks at the back from him should be able to deal more damage, although he's going to have to pull them forward slightly if he wants to affect these siege tanks. Yeah, with that going down, it looks like this other tank might be getting taken out there as well. Yeah, that's going to fall, and our barcoded player's massive supply lead has been cut down to just 20 supply lead, well, 30 supply lead now, sorry. So that's a much better position for Viper, especially now as he's got these 4 bases up and he's building a 5th as well. It looks like he might be in a much stronger position now than he was before. However, our barcoded player is going to still churn out the tanks still. Not going to be worrying too much about anything other than sort of siege tanks and hellbats, it looks like. Obviously, we're getting the as many as possible out behind that in the medivacs, sorry, to help deal with the healing the hellbats, but other than that, it's basically a very, very heavy ground focused composition there for him, and obviously with the Vikings on top just to make sure that they can help deal with his opponent's medivacs whenever they start to service, because at the moment we're not really seeing anything much of the sort out of our player here. We've got a single Viking coming out now, but with no medivacs at all, he's actually struggling to heal his hellbats, and I think that might be part of the issue that he's having there, because although they've got the 2 attack upgrade, I think, let's just have a look at our opponent's hellbats. Yeah, they're on 2-2 now, so they're going to be doing a lot more damage to, well, basically the barcoded players' hellbats can tank a lot more damage than Vipers can, just because they've got the 2 armor upgrade. We are seeing some pressure here on this extra command center with this Viking, which I do like. This always makes me laugh when you see the Vikings and command centers rising and falling together. I think there's a really old gif of that, of basically a whole bunch of Vikings just landing and a command center lands. It's landing around a command center, so the command center takes off, so they take off, and the command center lands, and then it takes off. It just goes backwards and forwards for about 5 minutes. Well, not 5 minutes, like 30 seconds or something. We're seeing a little bit of a drop here. I think, no, sorry, not a drop. Just some movement in from some Hellions out of Viper there. Not doing too much. As long as he stays behind the mineral line, he should be pretty safe to stay away from this planetary fortress. But I'm not quite sure how that's going to be fought off actually by our barcoded player. He's choosing to move his whole army down to deal with it, which is a little bit of an interesting decision. It may be that he's trying to catch out his opponent. I guess if he can siege up his tanks here or something like that, that'd be quite good. Maybe just pull back a few hellbats or something just to deal with this. Oh, sorry, he's got his hellbat there to go and deal with that now. So that's dealt with the Hellion, and generally we've seen Viper move forward into this position now. So I think if our barcoded player can set up some sort of defense here and hope that Viper moves forward into it, he can basically just bring up his army and help deal with it. Well, actually, with this huge move out down the bottom here of our barcoded player, it looks like we might be seeing some pressure on this this 5th base here of Viper. Meanwhile, his 6th is up down the bottom, just out of interest there. So we're seeing some quite sneaky basing out of our Terran players here. It does look like this command center will be falling though with this number of Vikings. Is it? No, he's not going to be continuing to pressure that. He's going to leave that to go. And instead, it looks like we're just generally pushing around the back here, and I think we might be having a pretty huge engagement out of here now as Viper is coming in behind this command center's building. He's got to cancel that to create the space to get in there, and with this many hellbats, wow. So the sheer number of siege tanks here, we're seeing an engagement now. I think basically the barcoded player managed to get his siege tanks up slightly earlier, and with the extra medivacs of his, he might be able to hold on, although actually it looks like his hellbats have died. And now beyond this, it does look like Viper might be able to push on through this, since there's basically nothing here now except 4 siege tanks plus some vision for our barcoded player. So yeah, that's going to be getting cleared up there, and finally Viper is really looking like he's back in the game now, taking out these assaults, and looking like he can actually really start to deal with this play now out of our barcoded player. So yeah, everything looking quite good. Just generally sort of continuing to build units here out of both players. Everyone looking pretty smart. I'm not sure what this is about. He's decided to fly away this base. It's Maybe it was under some sort of pressure or something. I think he's continuing to move around. Meanwhile, we need to get this base fully repaired if we can, to make sure that's not going to fall there. And actually, we've got a single SCV here on 1 health, taking out these 2 siege tanks. I love it. That was quite sly out of Viper there. It's pretty funny. Meanwhile, barcoded player is going to be taking 2 extra bases down the bottom as well. Both players generally heading into a much later game macro sort of orientated build now. And I think we might be seeing some sort of big engagement soon here now. Both players pushing back towards the centre point in the map now. We've got these bunch of siege tanks sieged up here for our barcode player, but with Viper just sort of pushing into the front there, he's not going to be able to get in too far. He's going to have to sit back, siege up, and hopefully try and gradually push up some ground and not lose too much in the process. We've seen a big SCV transfer down here now. This will be going to this extra base down the bottom here, and then we're going to see another base down the bottom as well. And it might be me. That looks out of position. Is that? Just these patches seem a bit far away. I might be wrong. In fact, I probably am. But that's all good. So obviously with barcode player unsieging now, it's a perfect time for Viper to move forward. And that's exactly what he's going to be doing. And generally now at this point, it's about who gets sieged up first. So really, if Viper can hit the siege button now, that'd be really ideal. And absolutely has. So he's going to be getting sieged up first, getting the first round of shots off just before his opponent. And this should allow him to push through the conflict, because I think both players are on very similar numbers of units. So actually with Viper being slightly behind on the number of SCVs there, that's basically what the supply difference was, and it looks like, yeah, Viper's absolutely pushed through that force there now, and saving so many of his siege tanks, and that very much demonstrates the importance of getting sieged up first. You get that first round of shots off first, all your opponent's units are going to die so much quicker, because of all the massive amount of AoE going down, and yeah, that was a really nice engagement there for Viper, managing to come out on, not quite on top of supply yet, but generally on top in terms of army supply, as he's still 11 SCVs behind our barcoded player. So Viper's going to be moving down, taking this bottom Zelnaga tower now, and it does look like he'll be coming over to try and take out this this 4th base here of our barcoded player now. So with this engagement coming down, we're seeing loads of SCVs dying here for our barcode player. That's taking him actually down to 10 less now than Viper is on, which is really quite nasty actually, because Viper's essentially looking in a really good position here again now. So it does look like we're going to get, Viper might get caught out a little bit here by the barcoded player, but with all these pre-sieged up tanks, it's very difficult to see how our barcoded player is going to move into this. He's got 9 siege tanks compared to the, oh, it's only 10 of Viper, but Viper is sieged up first, so it is very much a case of who can get the damage down. It does look like Viper's going to be coming out on top of this. There's only 3 siege tanks left for our barcode player, although there's 5 here for the Viper, and I'm not really sure. We're losing lots of stuff on all angles here. There's a little engagement up the top here as well, we're seeing. I'll just zoom out a bit so you can take all this in. And I think generally the troops of Viper are going to be coming out on top of that. He doesn't have the air superiority, of course, underneath all these Vikings and Medivacs, but with this little bit of a force left and plenty more stuff coming, Viper's in a really good position to continue taking this now. A full 50 supply ahead of our barcoded player, who's looking to start to struggle a little bit here now, as he's mined out most of the bases that he's got. Really could do with moving into this top base a little bit more. Oh, okay. So this guy reckons he was only playing with the mouse. Probably could have still pulled some SCVs up to the top, but never mind. Great game anyway, guys. That was HTO Mario apparently taking on ViperXk. So, well, another good little game of CasualCraft, really. This has been episode 46. I was quite impressed by the way Viper turned that around then, really. I mean, yeah, I know his opponent was only playing, he reckons, with a mouse. I'd like to think that's not just an excuse, it's just, you know, this is what I was doing. But yeah, no, some really good play out of Viper, managing to pull that back, eventually managing to get this extra base down the bottom here secured on top of this one, and just generally managed to get his economy up in such a way that the barcoded player couldn't quite deal with it, really. He had all his bases mined out and kept losing army after army, but wasn't quite able to capitalise on the situation, and Viper was able to push through. So despite the medivac advantage that I feel the barcode player had, maybe you just don't need quite that many medivacs, I'm not sure. Perhaps it's a composition issue of some sort, but generally Viper came out on top of the engagements after the initial problems that he was having up on the high ground here. And yeah, it was a really nice defence. So, well, thanks once again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. I've been RedRipz, your Dreadlock caster, Renegade master, all that banter. And I will be back on Monday with another episode 47 now? Wow, I'm going to have to start looking for another thing to do for episode 50, I think, because 50 is actually relevant, whereas 40 was kind of not. But it's all good, all very good. So, big swig of a beer. Thanks once again to both players. Thanks to you for watching. Thanks to my computer for playing the game, I guess. And GG to both players.